Politics in your old age, Jim? Didn't think you bothered much about that sort of thing.
Well, no, I don't, as a rule. But I think this is a bit more than just politics. In fact, I'd go so far as to say it's a way of life. I know that sounds a bit pompous and highbrow, but, George, I really think it is.
My, you are getting carried away. What do you mean it's more than just politics? It says on the cover that it's issued by the Conservative Party. It's as plain as a pikestaff.
My dear George, I don't give a damn who it's issued by. I've read it, and I'm telling you it's more than politics. It's a complete blueprint of our relations with each other, and it covers everybody, from the richest to the poorest, from the proudest to the humblest of us. It covers every branch of our life. There's something in it for the employer, the employee, the clerk, the executive, the youngsters. Now I am getting carried away, sorry.
Well, you always were one for enthusiasms. Even at school you had a new craze every week.
Yes, but this isn't an enthusiasm, as you call it. This is really something.
Well, I'm still not convinced. I know you too well. Now sit down and take it easy. All this ranting and raving will get us nowhere at all. That's right. Now take a grip on yourself and have a cigarette.
Oh, thanks.
And explain to your Uncle George in words of one syllable what it's all about.
Right. Well, let's start with the worker and his relations with the boss. That's pretty important today. Here we are. To the worker, we offer a new charter, giving assurance of steady employment in test his ability to the utmost and status as an individual personality.
And now's the time, comrades, to bring to an end this petty dictatorship of the bosses. Brother Williams must be reinstated, even if the union won't help us. We're the masters now, and we'll run things our way. Am I right, comrades? All those in favour of staying out? All those against?
Don't be a ruddy fool. Do you want to get slaughtered?
Good. Carried unanimously. Then we'll meet here tomorrow at the same time, comrades.
You know, Bob, I don't like this strike much. Seems to me we're cutting our own throats. That fellow Williams did a nasty bit of work. Communist, too.
Yeah, that's right.
Union's dead against it anyway.
I know just how you feel, Nobby. There's not much we can do about it. After all, you know, it's us against the bosses. I suppose for our own good we've got to stick together.
No, I don't get it, Bob. We can't do without a factory, and the factory can't do without us. If it wasn't there, we'd all be out of work. Anyway, the boss puts his money in and takes a profit, and we get paid union wages. Well, why can't we all pull together? Tell me that.
Well, it just don't work out that way, that's all.
Well, I should do. Yeah, Elsie bought this home last night. Her old man was all for throwing it on the fire. Don't you go filling your head with that there Tory propaganda, he says. They didn't do no good last time, they won't do no better next.
He's right, you know. Not that I like agreeing with fathers-in-law, but there you are. Issued by the Conservative and Unionist Association. I hope you didn't read it.
Oh, yes, I did. Oh, well, only to please Elsie. There's sense in it, you know, Bob.
Don't talk so silly. What's sense in this bunch?
Yes, there is, Bob. Look, I always thought they was against the workers and their unions, but they ain't.
Ain't they?
No, all they want's a proper understanding between us and the bosses, and good wages and a contract so as we get security.
Yeah, lend me this, will you? I'll let you have it back again tomorrow.
All right.
Thanks. So long.
So long.
Our policy is to humanize, not to nationalize. Human relations are of first importance in industry. So you see, George, the worker has a great opportunity for responsible and happy work ahead of him, if only this scheme can be put into operation.
Very nice. Very nice indeed on paper. I wonder if an idea like that could ever work.
It's got to. Otherwise, there isn't much for anybody in this country to look forward to.
But what about the other side of the question? Does it say anything about the employers and executives?
Yes, of course it does. Now listen to this bit. To the manager, we offer encouragement to raise the efficiency of his industry to the highest pitch. To the individual trader, we offer fair competition, greater elasticity, and less wastefulness from the operation of controls.
Yes, Mr. Arkwright?
I'll see Mr. Smith now. Come in. Oh, hello, Smith. What's the news? Sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Well, did you get it?
No, sir, I'm afraid it's no good. They just won't give us the permit. I was on the phone all day yesterday and down at the ministry all day today. Tomorrow will be too late.
But what reasons did they give for refusing?
None. I couldn't get in to see anybody who mattered. I was arguing in outside offices. They just said that no permit could be issued for that sort of job.
But surely you told them that this was a special case and that a big export order depended on it?
Of course I did, sir. Well, if only I could have seen somebody in authority. I feel sure I could have made them see the point.
Well, no use crying over spilt milk, I suppose. We shall just have to forget it. That's a big order for us and lots of good dollars gone down the drain. I think this puts the thing in a nutshell. The army of officials is so vast and is operating such a mass of minor harassing controls that the senior administrators cannot keep check
of what their battalions of juniors are doing. Experienced managers and traders constantly find that the vital permit, without which they cannot go ahead, is in the hands of a subordinate who knows nothing whatever about the business in question. You know, George, that's the trouble with this country today. Too many of these controls and restrictions.
But surely some controls are necessary, with all these world shortages we hear so much about.
Yes, of course they are. Very necessary indeed. The Charter agrees with the right sort of controls. What it does object to is the mass of silly, petty ones that haven't really been necessary for ages. Farming proves that point. The honest old country type doesn't worry with forms and returns and all the rest of it. He's got his own bit of ground, and he knows his job, which is more than a lot of these officials and snoopers do.
Morning, Bill.
Morning. That's a fine herd you got there.
Yes, pretty good considering everything. For what time I'm supposed to have to look after them, I just can't imagine. Far too much of my time's taken up in filling up forms and going into town to seat committee about something or other.
It fair makes you sick. They want more of this and more of that, and what do they give you to do it with? Less blooming feeding stuff.
I know. I asked that young whippersnapper at the office today. I said, how the hell am I expected to produce more when I haven't got enough feed for those I have got? Haven't you heard, he says, all sarcastic-like. There's no dollars for food stuff. You must make do or feed them on something else. Something else, blah. What's he know about it? Just come down from London and expects to teach me my job.
Yes. Have you seen this? I picked it up yesterday. It's just what you've been talking about.
Looks like politics to me. Politics. One party's as bad as another. I leave that sort of thing to town folk. They ain't got nothing better to do.
There's a bit here I like especially. Here you are. Dollars could be saved if feeding stuffs were imported instead of processed foods like dried eggs and bacon. A lot more about good prices and so on. Effectively remunerative, I think they call it. All means the same thing.
Well, that's what I've been saying for a long time. You don't need those clever London folk to think of a thing like that. Well, them politicians is learning sense at last.
Well, I must say that sounds common sense to me. More common sense than politics. Jim, my boy, you're getting me quite interested. What's next?
Well, here's a good bit. Justice is frustrated by exact equality of reward to all, but that's justice, is found where there is equality of opportunity and incentive to win a variety of rewards.
Hello, dear.
Hello. Late again. I'm sure you do too much work at that beastly office. Poor dear, you are tired. I'm certain nobody appreciates it. Joe next door, he earns the same as you, and he's home at 5:30 on the dot every night.
Yes, I know, dear. But you see, I happen to be one of these damn conscientious people. Joe just packs up and goes whether he's finished or not. I finish off one job quickly, and then they give me another one to do. And so it goes on. What's that you're reading, dear?
The Conservative Industrial Charter. There's a bit in it that applies to you and Joe. Extra reward should always be linked with extra
effort and initiative, according to the method most suitable in each case. That principle, George, together with the basic wage put forward in the Conservative Charter, would ensure that while no employer could cut wages below what is considered an economic minimum, the minimum would never become the maximum.
Well, again, it's very nice on paper, but would it work?
Well, the way I look at it, it's got a better chance than most systems, because this is the nearest you can get to what I would call a natural process. And a natural process is much more likely to work than one which isn't based on human nature.
I don't quite get what you mean.
Well, the employee works harder in order to get on and earn more than the minimum wage. Are you with me so far?
Yes, I get that all right.
Well, now, because he works harder, the employer gets bigger production and therefore bigger profits. So the boss is happy, and the good worker is given a chance not only to earn better money for the same job, but better money still for a bigger job. Now, is that sense or isn't it?
Yes, of course it's sense.
You see, the boss and the employee are complementary. One can't exist without the other, and subject to safeguards, which the unions already provide against the really bad employer. There's no earthly reason why both sides shouldn't realize it and work together instead of against each other, as they seem to be doing at the moment.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. But the industrial problem goes a lot deeper than that. In my opinion, one of the biggest things against our national recovery are living conditions. They make everybody, well, tetchy and nervy and ready to fly off the handle. Take housing. The housing shortage is...
Now, wait a minute. That's covered here as well. Yes, here it is. Basic industries serving the urgent needs of the people must be given first attention. Coal and power, transport, capital equipment, and housing.
Gosh, it's good to get you on my own for a change.
Yes, it's wonderful. I wish it could always be like this.
Mum says, will you have some tea or coffee?
No, thank you, Dad.
I suppose they mean well, but I do wish they wouldn't keep butting in like this.
Oh, they only do it once in an evening. They won't come in again.
Harry,
Yes?
have you seen the picture at the Ajax this week?
No.
Look, here's £50. You can go tomorrow, but hop it out of here right now, eh?
Mum!
And put the light up.
You shouldn't have done that, darling. It only encourages him.
I know, but these occasions are so few and far between. We got to make the most of them.
Mother said it'd be better for you to have something hot before you go, son. It's cold out and it bites into you this time of night.
If only we could get married and get a place of our own. Doesn't seem much prospect of it, no? Housing seems to take second place to everything these days. Export, export, export. That's all we seem to hear about now. Oh, I suppose it's sensible, really. But I can't help feeling I'd work a lot better if we were married and had our own house.
I know, darling. Does nobody any good to be frustrated. Yesterday at work, one of the girls gave me this. I suppose it's only propaganda, really, but I would like to read you a bit of it. We shall concentrate upon power, transport, food and capital equipment, including house building.
Well, that's only a very small part of it. There are about 40 pages in all. What I've told you would cover about 2 of them. The other 38 are just as good, probably better. It's a good bob's worth.
Well, Jim, you've had a very successful evening. I'm beginning to see what you mean about it being a way of life. Gosh, is that the time? I'll miss my train. Do you mind if I take that with me?
No, do.
I should like to read it very carefully.
I'd go so far as to say it's a way of life.
Why shouldn't we pull together?
I suppose it's only propaganda, really.
Could it ever work? It's got to, George. It's got to.
It does nobody any good to be frustrated.
That's the trouble in this country today.
Housing, 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 housing. Extra incentive, extra reward.
Will it work? Will it work? It's got to. It's got to. The only way, the only way, the only way. A way of life, a way of life, a way of life, a way of life, a way of life.